Hey everybody, welcome to the Herd Fit Podcast with Dr. Sam Rhee and myself, Coach David Syvertsen. This podcast is aimed at helping anyone and everyone looking to enhance their healthy lifestyle through fitness, nutrition, and most importantly, mindset.
All right, welcome back to the Herd Fit Podcast. I'm Coach David Syvertsen here with my co-host, Dr. and Coach Sam Rhee to the far right. We have not one, but two special guests with us today. We have quarterfinalists, age group quarterfinalists, Dan Coda and Karem Saldana.
Hi.
Am I right there?
Yeah.
I've actually never said your last name in my time. Guys, thank you so much for coming back on to the Herd Fit Podcast. Dan and Karem, this is your first time. And these guys...
No, we've had Dan, haven't we?
This is
No,
Dan's
he's like
repeat.
Karem.
Yeah. And Karem's first time.
Thank you.
And they just got done, like literally within the past hour or two, with the long quarterfinal weekend. And we're going to dive into the workouts, dive into some of their personal experiences, maybe some macro level stuff as well. But before we get into that, Karem, we'll start with you. Opening thoughts on the weekend, just everything. This is Karem's third time making the quarterfinal stage. 2 years ago, it was the open division. Last year, age group, and this year, age group. Am I right about that?
Yeah, it's the third year.
Yeah, third year in a row. So hat trick. So Karem, opening experience. What were your thoughts on the weekend?
I think this year, quarterfinals was a lot harder than I thought it would be. I saw it exposed a lot of my weaknesses.
Yeah.
But I loved the weekend. And I love that I actually went in for all the workouts versus the first year I did it, I think I only was able to do 3 out of 5.
Right.
The second year I was able to do all 5. And this year it was a lot harder, but it was a lot of fun. I was more excited about seeing all the new people that came and seeing how all these athletes that are made quarterfinals did so good.
Yeah.
It was really exciting.
Yeah, it's awesome. Dan, opening thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, I guess if I had to put it into one word, it's grit. This weekend, like you say, I think it was harder. It felt harder than the last few years, and I'm sure we'll get into why, but the body took a toll.
Yeah. Sam, opening thoughts on your weekend?
Agree. It was fantastic to see everyone.
This is number 4 for you, right?
I guess so. Yeah. It was 20 athletes this year, which was amazing.
Yeah.
And what I took away was everyone is skilled and talented, but they all have strengths and weaknesses. And I bet you if you looked at everyone's splits or how they did on every part of it, you'd see such a disparity in terms of results. And I love seeing that. It's you could see where people's strengths are, where they're challenged, and compare that to me and the strategy that people had in terms of the workouts, the order of the workouts, how they attacked each workout was amazing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that the really cool part about them expanding the quarterfinal stage, right? It used to be just top 200 in the world in your group would move on. And the fact that they moved to top 10%, it's good and bad. It's bad in that there ends up being a lot of people that cannot do the workouts at the next stage, right? Because the open programming is very different than the quarterfinals. But it's good in that you can you can rank down here towards the bottom, right, in the open, and then once the weights get heavier, the movements get a little bit more complex, you see things shift. And when you're looking at what is the quarterfinal, what is it actually? It's simply the second round of the competition. As much as the open is about community, celebration, fitness, fun, it is the first stage of the competition season. So the CrossFit Games champions, they have to do the open. This is the second stage. Now you have the semifinal stage coming up, and then you have the CrossFit Games, and you see that you can obviously see how much more complex the movements are here, like the GHDs, the strict wall-facing handstand push-ups, the weights, right? So we'll definitely get into that, but from my perspective, I did not participate this year, and it was really overwhelming at times because of how many people did them and some of the formats of the workouts, how much space and equipment we needed. But I did get to really soak in a lot of different experiences from different athletes, whether they talked about it or just watching them. From a movement perspective, from a load perspective, from a background perspective. And like Karem said, this is the first time a few of these people have moved on to the next stage. And I was telling Dan before this that this is an ideal environment to do something like this, because I know of a lot of athletes that are the only person at their gym that made the next stage. And you don't really know where you stand. You don't know where you sit. You don't have something pushing you again when a weakness pops up. There is no barometer, right? We just did a podcast last week about a leaderboard being blind, right? And this is kind of a blind leaderboard from a macro perspective. But here, you do know how people in this gym do in certain workouts. Like, you really want to see, how much did the strong athletes lift on that clean? How many rounds did the gymnasts get on that wall-facing strict handstand push-up workout? Who could bench the weight? There really is such a wide variety and different kind of athlete, even within our 20-person group, that you really did get to see, it's actually nice to see people struggle, but also to see those same people succeed in another workout. Because I think that's why you guys are such different athletes, and even in this room. But it's good to see other people go through very similar struggles as you, just on a different workout. And it kind of ties this whole thing together. So that was a really kind of just cool thing to watch from my perspective. So what do you guys think? Let's get right into the workouts. I think what we'll do here is we'll go into the workouts, break them down. If you're a CrossFit Bison athlete, you can get some advice on how to approach these workouts, because you might see some of these. But let's go. We'll just go down the ladder. We'll go Dan, then Karem, then Sam, and then we'll just open some generate some discussion. So the first workout was the dumbbell workout with the gymnastics. So basically, you had to do 3 rounds of a 50-foot double lunge. All right, and this one they had to hang in a farmer carry type position. So just picture yourself holding dumbbells on your side. All right, you have to walk 25 feet down, walk 25 feet back, unbroken, by the way. All right, and then you do 20 toes bar. All right, so that's the first part of your workout, 3 rounds of that. Right into 2 rounds of now you put the dumbbells on your shoulders, you walk down and back twice. Sorry, you walk down and back, and then you do your 15 chest to bar pull-ups. You do that little couplet twice. All right, and then the last one, which is really, this exposed a lot of people with the overhead mobility, and that's kind of the point of this, was 25 foot down, 25 foot back, double dumbbell overhead walking lunges. And then you end with 10 muscle ups. So basically the concept is the volume of each kind of couplet goes down, but the complexity of that couplet, really goes north. It gets a little bit tougher.
And the dumbbell weight for the 18 to 54 was
50 pounds for the guys, 35 for the girls. And the master, I think it was
5 for the women.
20, I think.
20
for 55 plus, and 35 for the men.
Okay.
So that it's with 1 dumbbell, it's a pretty lightweight. With 2, it changes. It does add a strength element. You don't have to be incredibly strong to move that weight, but you can see the guys that have a good squat, guys and girls that have a good squat, they held on to it without much of a problem until the overhead mobility came in. So we'll get into that. Dan, opening thoughts on that workout, because Dan, just for anyone that doesn't know, Dan has very good capacity on the rig. And I'd say average capacity with his lower body. It's something we've been working on for a long time, and it's definitely gotten better. What were your opening thoughts on this workout?
Yeah, I mean, going into it, I definitely was very confident on the rig and knowing, especially toe to bar, that's one of my strongest movements. I wanted to kind of go for it there. I did a set of 20 to start, and then I think I broke maybe twice on each of the rest. The lunging, it's interesting. You can move it, especially when you're in farmer carry. And front rack, it feels like it's not so taxing on the legs. It's not so heavy. Funny enough, the front rack felt a little even easier because you're even more stable.
It's more controlled.
Yeah, the farmer was kind of moving you around a little bit.
Yeah, you guys look drunk. You guys all look drunk when you're doing that one.
Yeah,
just moving left to right.
But the overhead, it hit me hard. I wasn't expecting it to be so hard, and I think part of it was just not focusing on my core. Mainly because doing 60 toe to bar before you even get there, your core's a little bit shaky. And if you're focusing too much on your overhead and getting into good position, coming down second time I failed the rep, and it wasn't necessarily because my shoulders gave out. It was because I just lost my balance.
Right.
So it was really focusing a lot on good stability, staying tight on that.
Did you get to a point? So these in the past, in workouts, whether it be quarterfinals, open, they used to have 5-foot grids, right? Where as long as you get 5 feet unbroken, you can, if you drop, you can go back to that line. This was 25 feet. If you don't get 25, if you get 24 feet, 10 inches, which actually happened a few times, and you drop it, you have to go all the way back. Did that happen to you?
Luckily, it didn't,
Okay.
but it got close. The very last the very last lunge overhead.
If it was 30 feet, you wouldn't have made it.
No.
Yeah.
Yeah. And I had five or six people run up to me, and it was so great. They were all, just yelling in my face to keep going. And it was just like, you have to dig deep in that moment and just give it all you got, because you definitely don't want, because I feel like if you get to that 24-foot line and you fail, mentally you're done.
It's going to be, you're going to have to wait like a minute or two.
Yeah.
Karem, all thoughts on this workout, because you are kind of almost the opposite of Dan in regard to this workout. Like, you're a monster with lunges and lower body capacity, and then the gymnastics capacity, something that we're working on right now. What did you think prior to the workout, and then what was your thought process kind of like during after? What was the contrast there?
So I had a plan for the toast bar. I figured out that my magic number is 7-3. I can keep jumping back on and off if I keep it at 7-3. If I try to go 10-10, I'm just going to get tired, and by the third round I would have died. But that was good. I was able to do 7-3, 7-3. The lunges didn't look terrible to me. I didn't think it was going to be terrible, because I'm able to do it. Like, my legs, I have legs.
Right.
It wasn't until the third round that I was not focused on my core, same as Dan.
Right.
That I dropped the dumbbell twice.
On the overhead or
overhead.
Okay.
Overhead, I dropped it twice. And it wasn't until Dave came over and said, stop focusing so much on your balance with the dumbbells overhead. Because that's what I was thinking. I'm like, balance them, because if they're not balanced, I'm going to sway, I'm going to fall. And then he was like, just stop focusing on the balance and just walk it. Walk it as if you were holding them in front of you. That I was able to walk back without even without dropping them again. I thought the third part was very challenging with the dumbbells overhead. Last year we had them one arm overhead, and it was 50 pounds. Yep. And that felt awesome.
So it was a heavier dumbbell, but it was only one.
One arm, yeah. And I felt great. Last year was a lot better, but this year with two, I'm like, it's a challenge. But I thought it was really fun, and I thought it tested us out. The strength there for my legs are good. I just have to have more confidence in actually just trying to walk down straight through.
Yeah. But
it felt good. And the chest to bars, I've been having a left shoulder impingement that I've been fighting with.
Yeah.
So I had to go singles on that, and I can move all day singles. But I couldn't go 5. I heard Dave pass by and go 5, and I'm like, yeah, I would, but I couldn't. And I was like, can't. I was like, let's just keep
Singles
attacking it with singles.
Yeah.
I can do that all day.
Which is fine. Yeah.
But it was a good workout. I liked it.
Yeah. Sam.
Yeah, it's challenging. I don't know how these women are carrying 70 pounds, like 2 35-pound dumbbells.
I'm going to get into that next. Yeah.
Freaking amazing. And for me, 250s it's a challenge.
It's a lot.
And it was definitely probably my worst score of the weekend.
Okay.
I did it second. So I did number 2 on Friday, and then I did this one Saturday. And what really got me were the front rack lunges. I'm also having an issue with my left shoulder, and just holding it in that position really felt like it didn't feel good for me. And so when I got to the second, I failed a bunch of times. I would go maybe halfway of the 25 feet, and then I just couldn't keep it stable, and it would just drop. And I got really frustrated. And at that point, I was like, forget this. It was really a bad time. And I ended up sort of cutting. It's a 20-minute cap, right?
Yeah, 20-minute cap.
I was about 17 and a half or 18 in, and I was just like, I can't do this. And I don't know if it was frustration or worry on my shoulder. But I stopped. Yeah. And I think some of it was positioning of that front rack. I was really trying to hold it vertical.
Yeah.
And in retrospect, maybe if I just kept more of it horizontal, it might have helped me a little bit.
Yeah, I can see how that would, that pull there.
Yes.
Yeah, I held it right in front.
Yes, and I think maybe if I had just done that, that might have been a little bit better if I had played with it. Listen, I'll count a small win just for doing 60 toes to bar, and then a bunch of the chest to bar. I thought the rig work was challenging for me personally. So it was one of those gotcha moments for me, but that's what these workouts are. You get frustrated, you see where your shortcomings are, and you're like, okay, well, that was a mental challenge. I'm going to work on that aspect of it. It was a physical challenge, and I'm going to work on that aspect of it. So I felt sorry for myself for about 5 minutes or 15, maybe an hour. And then after that, I was like, all right, now I know what to do, to work on this in the future.
So one thing I just want to say about the midline, right? The midline controls everything. And one of the advantages of lifting free weights as opposed to being at a Globo gym and using, Smith machine, the machines with pulleys and everything is anytime you lift free weights, your core is stabilizing something, right? And even further than that, if you do want to get a stronger core and you don't want to just go do V-ups and GHD sit-ups all the time, if you work out with dumbbells more often, your body will naturally have to stabilize it more. So, and this is the thing about midline. When your legs are burning, you know their legs are burning. When your core is really fatigued, you don't necessarily always feel it, and you sometimes don't know until you're trying to do something where you're trying to be stable.
Drunk walking. That's why I saw that.
Yeah. And so I think that that's something that can just be trained or just thought about throughout the year. Is core strength goes so much deeper than doing hollow rocks and holding planks, right? It's really controlling exterior loads and keeping yourself on a nice even line, and the weight. Just so those, if you don't use dumbbells and you can't really relate to, all right, why does it seem that heavy? Whatever weight is in your hand for a dumbbell, put that on a barbell. All right, that's approximately how much weight you're moving. So guys that had 50-pound barbells, think about a 135 barbell. Imagine doing that with a 35, especially the overhead component to it. With a 135 barbell. Ladies, imagine doing that with a 105 barbell. That's really, if you're not really kind of knowledgeable about the dumbbell and how it feels and why it feels heavy, that's about how much. Because, and the reason I bring that up, the barbell stabilizes the plates. All right, and they're locked in with clips. Right. Imagine doing a barbell lunge overhead with a barbell with no clips on. So the second you go left to right, that shit would start going left to right. Mm-hmm. That's what it feels like. So you don't realize a lot of times when you are using a barbell, there is some stability that comes from those clips.
You can also compensate with your strong side.
Correct.
My left side
There's no hiding there.
Yeah. Really exposed.
Yeah. So that was the tough workout. Did you guys feel any lingering effects from that workout? Like after, a lot of these workouts left a mark. I could tell on some of you guys. Did this one?
Yeah.
Yeah. Where?
My glutes were on fire after that workout.
Okay.
I've never felt soreness hit me so fast.
Yeah.
But that workout, I was like, I can't even sit.
What about grip? Was the forearm get banged up at all? Because there's a lot of grip in that workout. No. A lot. Yeah. You guys were okay?
Not for me. I felt my forearms were fine. It was all legs. All glutes and hammies.
Well, you're a nurse. You're always like prodding people and sticking needles in people. Your forearms are probably really
moving
strong.
people around.
Yeah. No, the grip definitely it lingered for sure. Especially depending on what order you do them all in.
Right. That's a part of it.
Yeah, I did the second, and then I did the rope climb one within an hour and a half, and I just definitely felt my grip starting to go
a little earlier than it would have.
I mean, now that I think about it, I guess going back to the rig, yes, my grip was everybody wanted, I made it to the bar muscle ups at 18, 16, I think it was.
Yep.
I know myself, and I know that I don't have bar muscle ups right now. I did at one point, but I don't. And with this shoulder bothering me, I didn't want to push it.
Right.
So I knew I wasn't gonna get that there, but the grip was worse. By the time I got to the bar muscle ups, my grip was just I can't hold on long enough to swing into it and get comfortable, as opposed to when you're coming and you're well rested and you're able to really get into that kipping and then work your way with but no.
Interesting.
Yeah, I think I saw a lot of that. So the people who got to the bar muscle ups, they're usually quite good at it and their form is so clean, but by the time they got there, a lot of them had to really kind of chicken wing and just get there, and a lot of that was just experience of executing that movement under fatigue. So the people who knew how to do that under there's the difference between doing a movement and then doing one when you're fatigued.
Yep,
that's
a great point.
And you really saw that on the bar muscle ups.
Yep. Yeah. Great point. All right, so on to workout number 2. A lot of athletes did this one first. I want to get into that after we're done, in terms of just kind of when we wrap this thing up, what are some just future considerations for how to pick the order of a workout. Anyway, okay, workout. This is 2 workouts, guys. Okay, so test 2A is an AMRAP for 10 minutes. 6 chest to wall handstand push-ups. We call them wall facing handstand push-ups at the gym, so they're strict. 9 GHD sit-ups. 12 box jumps to a high box, 30 for the guys, 24 for the girls. Please note, these are not box jump overs. You had to get onto that box and stand all the way up. Little extra juice on the legs. That's a 10-minute AMRAP, pretty simple, straightforward. At the 10-minute mark, you now have just 5 minutes, all right, immediately after that workout to find a 1 rep max clean. So there we are, that 1 rep max lift. We were saying I don't think we're going to see 1 rep max with Boz. I'm wrong. And when I looked at some of the weights from my age group, it is just ridiculous.
What is it?
I mean, I feel like the top, I think 100th place was 320.
Whoa.
Wow.
It's just ridiculous.
Holy cow.
Just looking up and down the leaderboard, how strong some of the guys and some of the girls' weights were I think 100th place for them was probably like 175, 185.
Wow.
Just ridiculous. So let's get into this one, Dan. Again, from a coach perspective, this is a kind of a CrossFit-y, gymnast-dependent workout. And, if Dan has a weakness gymnast-wise, it's strict handstand push-ups. So going into that, knowing what thought?
Yeah, I mean, 100%. I knew that was going to be. I was going to get to a spot where I just needed to do one, get off the wall. Do one, get off the wall.
Keep in mind, you have to do a wall walk to start off your set. So if you do 6 in a row, you don't have to do one walk. But if you get to a point you're doing singles or doubles, you're doing times that many wall walks. It really does compound how hard that gets.
And it's incredible because over the last few years, I found that wall walks actually are super strong for me. I can do those all day.
Yeah.
But there's something about just my arms and getting.
You're long too. You're long.
Yeah.
That's a big part of it. Not an excuse, but that does make the pressing a lot harder.
Yeah. So I mean,
the only reason Mike McKinney did well in that workout was short arms.
I judged him. I judged him. It was incredible to watch. He's just 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6.
I know, it's unbelievable.
So I knew that I just had to kind of just get in my head of, find a good pace on them, keep moving. The rest of the workout was not an issue because I couldn't get my breathing so high because I had to do the strict handstand push-ups slowly.
So did you try to go a little faster, GHD box?
Yes.
Just because you knew your heart rate would come back down?
Yeah, 100%.
That was smart. That's smart.
And the GHD in 9, it's not so much. It builds up over time, but it wasn't a number that I was afraid of. The high box jump, again, it was making sure I stood up every time, come down, go. Come down, go.
But, did you jump down, step down?
I stepped down for most of it, just a little extra safety. But then towards the end, I was starting to jump down, trying to move a bit faster where I could. This is one of those that mentally, it was a mental challenge for me. When I finished, I got just short of 4 rounds. I knew it was not going to be a competitive score, and essentially I knew my weekend goal was over.
Right.
And that was a little bit of a tough pill to swallow at first.
It is.
And I tried to reverse the thinking of now I found something that I can spend this next year working on and be excited to hit it again next year.
Yep.
But on the other side of that, getting to the lift, my best clean ever is 270, and I was able to hit 261.
Wow.
And I felt strong. I was I powered up till I think 240, and then I was able to even keep my legs and squat into the last 251, 261.
How were your legs? Because the two things that obviously the box jump taxes your legs a little bit, but I think a lot of people don't realize how much your hip flexors and quads do get smoked on the GHD a little bit. How did that take a while to come back, or was it? Okay?
I think because I just couldn't get that many rounds in because of the handstand push-ups, I was okay.
Okay.
I felt actually very nice and warm to
point.
get into the bottom of the squat from, every time in those 30-inch box jumps, I was basically bottoming out and getting up.
Yep.
So that all felt pretty warm for me. And I think it's just, I could see if you had 2-3 more rounds, that being much.
That could be a factor.
Difficult. Yeah.
Okay. Karem.
I was excited about this workout just because I really wanted to get to those GHDs and box jumps.
Yeah.
Those are 2 of my favorite things. I think I'm strong in that.
Yep.
But I knew that was going to be a huge challenge because I don't have strict handstand push-ups facing the wall.
Right.
So I basically spent most of my time there. But I'm glad that I did it because 2 years ago when we did the first one, there was 2 workouts I couldn't do, and they had started with a strict movement.
Yep.
And I just heard Dave in my head just give it a go. Doesn't matter, just try it.
Right.
And I also wanted to get to the second part. So I just stood there. I was able to only get 2.
That's awesome, though. It's the first time you've ever done that, though, right?
It was the first time.
That's a win right there. I know it sounds like moral victory, but that's a big deal to know that you can do that moving forward. Like Dan said, we're going to work on them. Now we know.
And the feeling was so much different for me because instead of being down about it, I was Liz was there, Nicole was there, and they were talking me through it. Everybody was trying to tell me a different way to give it a go. And every time I gave it a go, I got more wall walks, that's for sure, out of this. But it was really cool. And I hit a PR on the second part.
Wow. What'd you hit?
173. I guess because it's supposed to be 175.
Nice.
Damn.
But I also had I wasn't as tired from doing box jumps, so I had that one advantage. So I gave it 5 tries. I failed 180. But it was nice. It was a lot of fun.
That's awesome.
I was not tired at all from the squat clean.
Yeah. Yeah.
was,
So
like,
you can move on.
surprised.
You can move on to the next
Yeah,
workout. And
it
that
felt
is
good.
one advantage of having a workout where, hey, I struggle with this movement. The advantage is for the rest of the weekend, you're not as beat up as you
Yeah.
could have been, right?
Yeah.
So what did you fail on the clean? Was it the squat? Was it the pull? Like, did you catch it? Because you can pretty much stand up anything you catch, right?
Yes.
Yeah, you're one of those.
But it was weird. I think I had 2 last attempts. I gave 180, I think 2 tries.
Okay.
The first time I tried it, it like slipped right off. I think I went into it too fast and the bar came right off. The second time I got into that, but I was unable to get out of that squat. I was like halfway out of that squat and then I just failed it.
Yeah. A little
But
forward.
I'm not sure. I think by that time 6 tries was like, yeah, you gave it a lot of tries, girl.
Yeah. Yeah. I
You're
know.
getting-
You did a lot of lifting and hit a PR already.
Yeah. It was fun though. I loved it.
Yeah. Sam.
I'm pretty good at pressing. I don't do kipping handstand push-ups, so all year I've been doing pretty much strict.
Okay. So you were ready for that.
That part wasn't an issue. And the GHDs, I've done some, not a whole lot this year, but it's
Yeah.
only 9, like Dan said, so it wasn't awful.
And you've gotten banged up on those before, right?
Yes.
So do you have any sort of, PTSD time? Like when you go, do you do them any slower to be careful?
The first couple rounds, I went very deliberate.
Right.
And then at the end, I started pounding them a little faster.
Okay.
I could feel it. I'm starting to feel it actually today.
In the low back?
Yeah. No, my core.
Your core, okay.
my abs. And, we had a couple of people on that AGOQ workout, the million GHD workout.
Yeah, from 2 years
Oh my
ago.
God.
We had,
yeah.
Yeah.
some people had rhabdo from
For
that.
sure.
But this-
Absolutely.
but even if I got 5 rounds, so that's only 45 GHDs. That's not so bad.
Okay.
The box jumps are a problem. I'm very short. My inseam is 29.
Yeah.
The box is 30. So I'm basically jumping to my belly button or
Do you
higher.
guys know your inseam by that? I don't even know what my inseam is.
You don't care because you can find pants all the time. I have to look, otherwise the pants run all the way down to my toes. So I was like very deliberate with those.
Yeah.
But like I said, like we all have our limitations. Like if I was a faster box jumper, then I could have done more, but I was happy with that. Like
Yeah.
that worked out for me. The lift, I got to my first one and I squat cleaned it and I fell on my ass because I had nothing in my hips.
Yeah.
And my kids were there and they showed me the video. They're like, Dad, look, you just fell on the first one. We're like, what's going on? And I was like, so I realized I could not squat clean it.
Yeah.
So I powered everything. It looked ugly, like a little starfishing, but
That's okay.
whatever.
That's okay.
I starfish every day, whatever.
Yeah, right.
So, that's my norm. So I hit 234 because I was using DeCarlo's bar, which was 44 instead of 45
Got
pounds.
it. I got it.
Which was, I was too lazy to switch out to a different
Yeah,
bar. So I was
that's
like,
okay.
whatever.
That's a really good weight for you right now, I feel like.
my PR is like 245, 250.
And wasn't that like 2 years ago?
It was a while ago.
Yeah, it's been a while since you hit that
Yeah.
weight.
And so 234 felt good. I failed 239.
Okay.
And
And that was because your eyes were down.
yeah, you kept telling me that. And I
Yeah.
was looking up and I was like, not helping. I'm
Yeah.
still tired and I can't pull properly, but
I'll
thank
tell you
you.
what, 5 minutes goes fast, doesn't it?
Oh, I got maybe 3-4 lifts in tops. Like,
Yeah.
But that's the thing. When you do this one, you have to start pretty heavy.
Right, you
Like
have to, yeah.
you can't be like, oh, we'll start at like 185.
Yeah.
No, you got to go like
75, 80%.
Yeah, you got to go heavy to start, and then just maybe you'll get 3 to 4.
You want to give yourself a time for a miss and
Yeah.
then be able to try that miss.
Well, that's the thing with these workouts is you always worry about being conservative to start, but you know what? You're warm.
Yeah.
And
You have to trust it.
And you have to trust it. And I saw lifters who have really good lift technique. They were squatting within 1 or 2 lifts close to their like 1 rep,
Yeah.
within 10 pounds, like what you guys are doing. And you have to trust yourself. Like, go aggressive.
Yep.
You know you can do it. Like, I would not baby the first one. Like, I would go pretty strong.
That's the environment to go for it.
Yeah, I warmed up to my first, the first attempt was 145. I warmed up to that, so I left that on the barbell. And then I asked Liz, like, how did you do it? She's like, I went close between rep 1 and rep 2 because they're still lighter for us. So I did 145, 165, and then I gave myself more time on those last 3 lifts.
Interesting.
Good strategy.
160,
Yeah, I like that. It worked out for you.
Yeah.
PRs. That's awesome, guys. Cool. All right, so that was basically the first 2 workouts that had to be submitted by yesterday. So most people did them. Well, yeah, you guys all did them Friday and or Saturday. And now we go into the back half of it, which some already had done prior to the Sunday window. So this is where it kind of really starts to scatter a little bit with, who's doing what when. This one, to quote Rich Froning, was the most boring workout he's ever done in his life, and that includes rowing a marathon.
Oh my God.
So Froning is in the
read
35 to 39 group, and he did this workout. I think the workout itself, the test itself is fine. After watching it 22 times, it is tough to watch. And this is a question I would like ask you guys before we get into it. When you see workouts like this, you know, it's testing CrossFit endurance, right? Endurance really should be more than a half hour, but you know, it's still testing what it needs to test. Is it the best way to do it? Do I think one of those 50 shuttle runs should have been like a longer row? Like, yes, I do. But you know, it's kind of part of the sport is you want to be unpredictable. You don't want people to be like, all right, here, we're going to do this. We're going to do this. We're going to do that. Like that's kind of like the unknown element to it. And, you know, do I think Froning really cares that it was a boring workout? I don't. He knows programming very well. I think he just put that message out there because, like, you know, this is stupid. I could try 80% and still come in first place, that whatever. But when you guys see a workout like this.
Oh, can you explain the workout? Like, did you detail it?
Oh, my bad. Yeah. So the workout is 50 shuttle runs. So a shuttle run is 25 feet down, 25 feet back. So you have to do that 50 times. That's a lot, by the way. 5, 6, 7, 8 minutes.
Yeah. It's like about 800 meters or like half a mile almost.
Yeah. 7 rope climbs, 25 bench press, guys 185, ladies 125. Back down the ladder, 7 rope climbs, 50 shuttle runs. Though it's the longest workout of the weekend by a pretty wide margin. And there's somewhere where everyone gets caught up for the most part. And you guys are all pretty good engine people. You're all pretty good rope climbers. All right. Tell me before you get into the details. Let's do this down the ladder, and then we'll come back, talk about the actual workout. When you saw this, just what was the first thought? Just a quick.
I can't bench press. 125 for the life of me.
Dan.
Yeah, I mean, I just tried to figure out how long 50 shuttle runs would take.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
No idea. And that's kind of the cool element to it. You know, like if you told Dan to roll 50 cows, he'd be like, all right, 3 minutes, you know, Sam.
I had no idea how I was going to do on this one going in. Like none. I was like, what? I don't know. We'll see.
Cool. So
I don't think like Dave, like Rain Man, where he can figure out how long it's going to take him. I just saw the shuttle runs and I was like, I can do it. I love running and I can run those all day.
Cam's a runner. Yeah. And yeah, it's funny just looking at people's facial expressions during these. Some people are just like running in the park with like birds chirping in the sun. Other people like 9 runs in, they're like, this is miserable. Get me to the bench. So Dan, go into this. I think, Dan, you finished this one.
Yeah.
And, you know, was there any thought of potentially doing this one last? Because I know you and I were kind of struggling a little bit on what to do last. Because at the end of the day, the volume isn't that much. But there are sneaky components to the shuttle run that some people don't realize. It's that bending over motion, doing that 100 times. It's a lot. And you are basically benching to failure throughout the workout. Did you have any thoughts on doing this one last?
You know, I didn't beforehand. When I finished the weekend, I definitely looked back and was like, you know what? I would have done the last one.
Okay. Interesting.
Before doing this one, only because I think... I mean, it took a lot out of me for sure, and I might have been able to have a little extra juice for the thruster and row. What was interesting about it was in the shuttle workouts that we've done, a lot of it, like people were walking or going slow, and it wasn't super, like it wouldn't affect your score if you were fast in the other places.
Right. This
one you needed to move. Like there was no doubt. Like you needed to find a good pace and keep it going because it was such a huge amount of time in the workout. And like going into the rope climb the first time, like you were like fine. Like
right.
You didn't work anything out. Your grip and everything was okay. So like you could still find a good pace and move and get to those rope climbs. Rope climbs is another one of those movements I'm very strong at. And I was able to, get those done quickly. The bench, I was surprised on. I didn't think 185 would hit me so hard. There was a lot of interference from the rope climb to the bench.
Yep.
And so like that first rep was like, whoa, what happened? and then you settle in and you're okay. But 25 reps is just a lot, a lot on a bench, even on a weight that's not so
How did you break
heavy.
it up?
I started doing 5s and 4s, which quickly turned to 3s, which I got to one where I was like, I knew the third one was going to be tough, and I went for it anyway, and I failed.
Yeah.
And then that kind of got in my head, but luckily I had I think 4 or 5 left at that point. So
Yeah, that's the time to go for a risk, yeah.
Yeah. And then I really, the second set of shuttle run, I just got in my head, I was like, you have to move. Do not slow down. You're okay. And just try a quick turn and almost fall back into the next shuttle, into the next run. So I was happy with that one. I thought that was a good score for me. And
yeah, you were moving pretty well in that workout. I don't think you were one of the few that really did not get held up badly at a movement, right? No one's doing everything unbroken and fast, right? But there are people that, whether it's the rope, the bench, or even the run, like in some cases where it really kind of just hit you in the face.
Yeah. Yeah. You had to move in the second set of rope climbs because that's mentally was like you didn't want to go, but you had to go and you could go. So
how did the second set of rope climbs feel compared to the first?
It was definitely
a lot harder. A lot harder.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, and I think it was
Was
just
it both going up and going down?
I've gotten pretty good, kind of sliding down.
Okay.
So that the going down wasn't so bad. It was holding on. My grip was definitely taxed by this point from the other workout as well, and just using a lot of legs. I like to get my legs as high as I can. So that was also the combine of the GHD and the Coda bar previous to this, being able to get my legs up higher.
Right.
Everything was kind of building over the weekend.
Got it.
So it was a bit harder than they normally are, but again, I was able to push through on that.
Okay.
The shuttle runs were good. I liked them. The rope climbs, I was afraid with the rope climbs because the last 2 years that we've had rope climbs in the quarterfinals.
Yep.
I've always had a hard time with just my grip
Yeah.
on the rope climbs. So I was surprised that with the rope climbs this time around, I was able to keep
through.
going up without feeling tired at all.
Awesome.
I was surprised that a lot of the women told me that the rope climbs the second time around was easier for them after the bench press. Bench pressing would have been a PR for me if I even hit 125. I had 20 minutes, I think, to do bench pressing. So I was trying to go every 2 minutes or something to make an attempt to see if I can get one. And then at one point we took some of the weight off and kind of try to work back up to 125. But I knew I wasn't going to get one after 115 felt really hard.
Right.
So that was challenging, but I'm glad that I actually gave it a try because another part of me 3 years ago probably would have been no, I'm not even going to attempt it.
Right.
And this time I was try it. So I was I loved watching. So much credit to Ashley.
Yeah.
And some of the women that thought they wouldn't get one and got one.
It was failed a few.
Yeah, it was really exciting
Saw
to
a
watch
lot of that. It was really
So
inspiring.
it gave me the inspiration to give it a try. That there's nothing to lose, And again, people were coming over and giving me tips on how to do it different. And I love that. It helped a lot. It gave me the encouragement and motivation to I know for sure this year if I've gotten anything out of open and quarterfinals, because I was thinking about this right after the open is I want to focus on strength more than anything because my engine is there, but my strength has to get better.
Yep. Sam?
I think it's because guys have bro lifted since they were in high school.
Yeah.
You always see kids benching
Yeah.
or boys. So I think you saw there was a big gender difference in the bench. But this was all adrenaline driven by the community for me. I did much better than I thought I was going to do. The first 50 shuttle runs, I went really slow for the first 10, warmed up, and then I was like, I'm bored. Let me go 5 fast. So then I would do 5 fast, and then I'm like, okay, now I'm tired. Let me do 5 slow.
Smart.
And then I would do another 5 fast, and then 5 slow. And so I would just kind of was trying to keep some kind of entertainment in me. And then I got to the rope climbs, and I can do rope climbs. I have not. They're a skill set that I have issues with, and I know what my issues are. My issues are when I don't use my feet to clamp really well on the rope, so I can free up my hands and not grip so hard. And then the other things, which everyone is yelling, big legs, is like Dan says, really get your legs high,
lean
and
back,
reach really high.
Yeah.
And my shoulder isn't really doing awesome on the left side, so I can't really extend fully. But you have a lot of time. This is one where if you asked people to do 3 rope climbs in a minute or 90 seconds, a lot of people could do it. I couldn't.
Right.
But if you're asking me to do 1 rope climb every minute or 90 seconds. I can do that. Like, I can manage to get myself up there. And this is the kind of workout that let me do that. So, you just kind of get through it. It looks ugly, but whatever. And then the 25 bench, I'm decent at bench. So my rep scheme was 5-5, and then it degenerated to like 3, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 1, 1, 1, 1 to the rest. And then maybe like the last 7 were ones.
Yeah.
And then I didn't even know, like, I didn't want to do 7 more, but I don't even actually remember how I did them. It was probably just like a little inchworm up and down. And then at that point I don't remember, maybe like I was like at 22 or 23 and I had like 7-8 minutes or something. And Colin, my judge, shout out to all the judges, by the way.
Yep.
I had Kayla, Julia Kelly, Colin, Dan, much appreciated. Like, you guys really helped me out a lot. But Colin said, listen, if you keep to the first pace, like your first 50 shuttle runs, for the second 50, you'll finish.
That helps. Yeah.
Well, it made me say, crap.
Now I have to try hard.
Now I got to try. So I tried, and then there was everyone yelling. And it's one of those things, like, at first I was like, I'm not going to finish. And then I kind of was like, well, I'm looking at the clock. Well, maybe I'll, but you'd have 50 runs. You don't even know how long 50 is going to take you.
Right.
So I'm like, well, maybe I'll finish. No, I won't finish. Well, maybe I will.
Oh, crap. I am going to.
Oh, maybe I am going to finish. So I went back and forth, and then everyone's yelling, but everyone's yelling for like 7 minutes. Like,
You know what I think happened there? I think Colin said 35, and they said 45. Because I walked by, and I was like, wait, where is he at? You guys were all going nuts. I'm like, dude, he's got 14 left.
Right. So I didn't know for sure. Like, and so like Alan Grinberg was like, dude, you look drunk when you were running the last ones. And I was like, yeah, because I had nothing left.
Yeah.
And he's like, dude, you're coaching us on these shuttle runs, and you tell us to like get your head up, and you're running with your head down. It's like, yeah, I know, Alan. Like, I didn't have much left, but thank you. And so I literally, I only knew I was going to finish with maybe like under 5 shuttle runs left. And I said, okay, I can do this. I finished with like 29 plus.
Yeah.
And it was probably one of the more inspired, like for me, for the community, like
They kind of lifted you up on that one.
They're watching you for like so long.
Yeah.
Like they're watching you for longer than an entire WOD for most WODs,
Yeah.
right?
Oh, yeah.
So and so when I finished, I was like, I want to thank everyone who was like yelling in my face about it, because I wouldn't
really
have
does.
finished it, and I was shocked. Yep. And these are the kind of workouts where, most of us don't really, like, at least I don't push, like, I don't go to that dark place very often anymore. And this weekend, I probably went a lot into that dark place. And you love it, but then you're also like, the stakes have to be pretty high.
Yeah.
Like real high for you to go there.
Yeah.
And
This is the time to do it.
yeah, so this was, and I mean, again, thanks to everyone there, because there's no way it would have even been close. And I saw a couple other people, the same thing. Amy Edelman,
Yeah.
her, like, after I did this, she did hers, and I was like, oh, so that's how you do a rope climb. You don't let go of the rope in between the rope.
You just go right back
You
up.
go right back up. You use your really super long legs and go up in two poles.
Yep.
You touch, you slide back down, and you do it again. I'm like, I mean, I think she did 7 rope climbs in the time it took me to do 1.
Yeah.
Like, it was impressive.
No, the rope climb is similar to what we talked about with the overhead lunges earlier with Karem. Like we said, like, hey, just go walk it out. Like, go faster and see what happens. It's, when you get really tired on rope climbs, 4 poles becomes 5 poles becomes 7. All of a sudden, you're up there for 10, 15, 20 seconds. And someone that's really fluid and efficient with them, it's literally 4 to 5 seconds.
Yeah.
So it's not just, they're better at rope climbs than me. They're actually working less than you, and that's where in competition or in workouts, like, it really, you see like really wide gaps, and it's not just fitness, it's efficiency.
That's where you see the Dan Codas and Amy Edelmans, like, they've worked on it, and they're working less than you are.
Yes. Yeah. So they're cheating. So they're not even, so
That's
they're
right.
not as fit.
I worked out harder than they did.
So take that. So let's move on to the last workout. Oh shit! I just went back to another year. Okay, here we go. Workout number 4. Oh man, I can't even say this workout without like having something happen inside of me. I've always said, if you ever listen to me talk about the open workouts, I've always said the hardest one ever is 15.5, and that is what this workout was. And it is. Sorry if I start quivering halfway through talking about this. 27, 21, 15, 9. row calories thrusters. Guys, 95, ladies, 65. And it is probably the biggest gut check workout. Like some people have asked, like, hey, do you want to do, we have another athlete coming in at 12:30. Like, hey, Dave, maybe you should do with them. I'm like, no, absolutely not. Like this workout is, if you're in a layout that you guys are in, an environment that you guys were in this weekend, it means something. It's a competition, right? Then I think it's a good test because you can kind of just like send it, go all out, do what you got. But this one, if it's just like a normal workout, I think I would break up the thrusters 7 times just because it's a really uncomfortable combination. Rowing and thrusters. Think about what your legs do on rowing. Think about what your legs do on thrusters. It's the same exact thing. That's why a lot of people get really lit, like in the quads from this kind of workout. And just thrusters, like it's one of the hardest movements to do with a high heart rate because the bar is slamming on your lungs and your elbows are coming in close to each other, and that collapses the lungs even further. So it's just a really difficult combination. And it was it the shortest workout? Well, it had a 15-minute cap. So if you were sub 10, it was the shortest workout of the weekend, right? So Dan, you did this in 2015, and this was back still only probably a few years after you started CrossFit, 2, 3, 4 years, right? And you definitely were not as into the sport then as you are now.
No.
What was it like to do this one years later and also 7, 8 years older?
Yeah. It was interesting. I had that, pit on my stomach feeling when I read it the first time, I vividly remember this workout in 2015 because I remember I've always been a good rower, and I remember rowing that 27 cows and be like, I'm gonna kill this workout. I did my first set of thrusters and I was like, oh my god, I'm dead, and I had to like really push hard to finish that back then. I think I did it twice. Just because I think I fell apart completely the first time.
Yep, I did it twice too. Yep.
Yeah. But it was interesting. Like a couple times last night, I woke up in the middle of the night. I was like, "Oh my god, 27 stairs!" I was like, it was.
That's
like
when
really
you know you have a problem.
Yeah.
1-800-HELP.
Yeah.
It's really stressful.
Yeah.
It is.
Yeah. And I woke up feeling like I got hit by a Mack truck. The whole weekend kind of just caught up to me.
Yeah.
I came in. What I loved about the weekend, honestly, was getting my heat times. Dave set it all out for us. It felt very much like I was in a long weekend competition that I've done before. I was just like on schedule, came in, I was able to focus, get warmed up. And I had a plan in my head of just, I wanted to go big sets in the thrusters, and I know traditionally I fall apart once I red line on the thrusters. So I intentionally did my 27 cals very slow. And I was able to do,
Approximately how long was that? Do you remember? Just approximate.
Or what was your split pace?
I was doing 950 calories.
Just so you know, if Dan was not experienced and he said like he just like went for it, he probably could do 27 cals in a minute 5. And
then be dead.
And so he started off 950. So that row probably took him 145-ish. And just we say this all the time. If you start slower, you will be faster.
Yeah.
In almost every single case. And it's no longer a thought or a maybe. It is a fact. Keep going, Dan.
Yeah. And so I was able to do I think 18 and 9 on the thrusters.
They look good too.
Yeah, they were fast.
The thruster has never been a great movement for you. And you've had in the history, especially when you get tired, they get ugly. But I thought they looked awesome.
Yeah.
Like they really looked, I was like, damn. I was like, they're fast, they're upright, they're consistent, they look good.
I'll say definitely the lot of muscle fatigue work we've done on the legs has helped a lot. I had it in my head, move fast, move well.
Yeah.
And don't worry about the row, recover on the row, but the thruster has to be has to move. And I broke up one too many times in the 21. I did 10, 6, 5. I wish I would have just broke it once.
That's the tough set.
Yeah,
21.
yeah. Because then I got to the 15, and in my head I was telling myself, "Oh, you're gonna do 10-5," and I got to 10. I'm like, "Do not drop the bar," and I was able to kind of grit through the rest of it. And I beat my score from 15 by over a minute.
That's amazing.
Wow,
that's awesome.
7 or 8 years older.
Yeah. How many people can say that? Really?
Yeah.
How old are you right now?
Yeah, 41.
And that's when we do start to feel it go backwards a little bit. Like once you get 35, 36, I think, that's why they start the Masters at that age. But how many people can say at age 33, 34, they would have done something slower than what they're doing now at 41, 42 ish?
Yeah, it's cool.
That's
I mean,
awesome.
Honestly, like
It really is cool.
I think that anybody who likes it, who loves it, who wants to put the time in, and like you can keep getting better as you get older. It's not. It's like people put a limit on that, but there's like you're only limiting yourself.
Yep.
Like,
Age is a number, baby. Karem.
So thrusters, every time if I were to pick one movement in the open and quarterfinals that I least look forward to, it's rowing. I don't like it. I don't like rowing for like trying to do it fast and trying to do it efficiently. But
Why not?
I feel like it's the hardest thing for me. At least in the past, it has been. But this past year, because of next level for me at least, I've grown to love rowing.
Nice.
Especially because I've gotten more efficient at it. Dave has talked to me a lot about how to efficiently get more out of a pull. And I used to like just pull back and forth, but like just doing it efficiently, like bringing it all the way back. I feel like I exert myself less, but get more out of it. So
you're cheating, just like Dan does in rowing.
so I didn't start CrossFit until 2017. So I wasn't around for 15.5. But I was looking forward to this one because if there was any workout that I knew I was going to be able to do decent at,
Right.
it was this one. I didn't really have like what is it called, like a plan when I went into it. I just knew that I can do thrusters unbroken if I didn't try to do it super fast. So my rowing was just efficient. Like my pull started at 1200, and I think when I got to like 21, the end of 21, it got a little like between 1000 and then 900.
That's really solid.
But for the most part, they didn't tire me at all. And then the thrusters were unbroken on the first set of 27. I think the next one, I did 15.6. And then I started doing like, the last one I did unbroken on 9s. But it didn't feel hard. It didn't feel terrible. But I have to be honest, I went slow on those thrusters. I knew I didn't want to drop the barbell, and I knew that if I went any faster, I would drop it. And I kept that bar close. I didn't want to walk away from it. And I got a decent time, 9:59.
That's awesome. Sub 10's great.
Yeah, that was my goal. Yeah.
Great. Good job. Really impressive that she started CrossFit in 2017, by the way. Like, really. It's her third time making quarterfinals, and she started doing CrossFit in 2017.
That's a lot of talent there.
I just wanted to throw that out there.
It's a lot of talent.
you.
All right. Sam.
I do remember I just started CrossFit then maybe less than a year, and I do remember, Dave, you just about blacked out on this one. Like I remember you lying there,
Yep.
and I was like, wow,
Yeah.
like that was really bad.
Yep.
Like I don't think that's probably one of the top 2 or 3 times I've ever seen someone.
I think
look
that's why
so tough.
That's why I think it's in my eyes. It's the hardest open workout ever. I went so hard on that one.
Yeah.
And if you really go full send,
Yeah.
it's the 5 minutes after. I was gonna ask you guys after, but how did you guys feel after this one? Like 5 minutes after, did it get better or did it get worse?
It helped my soreness. I felt like I got hit by a train when I woke up.
Yeah.
But after that
was
workout,
just
I got warm. It felt warmer.
Yeah.
Better,
So you only felt like you got hit by a bus after instead of a train. Okay.
I mean, so I try to get it out of my head that I had just done number 3 like an hour before that.
Yes. That should be put out there.
And honestly, if there's one thing I would change, I would have done this one yesterday after the dumbbell, like given myself more time and then just done that. I probably would have psychologically at least felt better, but I just wasn't like in a good place yesterday, so I didn't.
Yeah.
So that being said, I did give what I had, and it was interesting. Like I talked to a couple of people. Like there are some athletes at our gym, this is their jam. Like you talk to a Nicole DiCarlo or Mandy or Legit, or like there are any number of other, Kevin, like, Dan. Like this is something they can just like, they were telling me, oh, I did, or Tracy McGee, I did 27 unbroken. Then I did like 21 unbroken. Yeah. And then I, like that kind of stuff. And I was like, okay, thanks for your advice. I will just do what I could. So the row is just the row. Like even if you go a little slower, you're not losing too much on it. Right. And then you got to like pound the thrusters. I did not pound the thrusters. I did some random sets of whatever I could cobble together. I did the one thing I did follow a lot of people is try to rest up top and then go. Maybe I was resting too much and I was fatiguing my shoulders. Yep. I know that.
Especially with the weekend. I mean, you're just tired at this point.
That's okay. I do remember Rich Froning saying that like I like resting up here.
Yep.
I I dropped the barbell too much, but whatever. Like I gave what I could.
Yeah, we're gonna do it again at Bison in 2 weeks anyway, so you could.
What day? Because I'm either coaching or not doing it. I might be out. I will say that last 9 set of thrusters, like Dan and Kevin Yurchak were there, and they were like, "You gotta go unbroken on these 9 thrusters." Because I was like already thinking 3 sets of 3, like 5, like 4 or 5. Like I'm dropping this barbell like it's hot, and they were like, "No, you have to." So, I actually saved time because I did maybe give myself another 3 or 5, or I can't. It might have been 20, I don't know, before I picked up that barbell, but I did go 9 unbroken.
Great.
And so it's those little wins. So maybe I didn't do like my best performance, but I did push myself, and these guys made me like that little win of doing those last 9 unbroken made me feel good. I mean, not good at the time, but good now. And I appreciate that. Like that's where these guys took a performance that maybe I would have looked at and been like, I could have done better. And then been like, you know what? I'll take that win of those 9 unbroken, because that was painful. It didn't feel good. These guys pushed me. Like, I appreciate that. So I was really happy with that. And I would say this is the one where I saw so many people really, like, it was their jam. They like, for us, we're like, no, but for a lot of people, they're like, yes, because they're really good at it.
Yeah.
And it was a win for a lot of our athletes.
I viewed this one just because, and I know not everyone did this one last, but CrossFit has a little bit of a theme that doesn't always show up, so I can't say it's always there. But they used to do this with regionals a lot. They've done this in the open a lot. Is that the final workout that's programmed is the gut check one, where it doesn't take that much talent to do this one. It takes some fitness. It always takes fitness, but there's very little skill.
Grit.
And that's what they like to test, and something kind of short. Like this can be. I think you'll see guy fast times in the 6s, girls in the low 7s. Like, and that is just going hard for that many times. And for people that are trying to advance to the next stage, if you're on the bubble, you have to go dark on this. And if you don't, you won't make it. And I like workouts like this in a series over the course of the weekend. Just have one of them like this. No skill. Do you want it or not? And that's what I like to, that's how I like ending something like that. And that's why some people did advise me or ask me for advice on, hey, should I do this one last? And my personal experience was, because that one is dark, and that's why I do want to get into just a little bit more macro level strategy and, advice or even thoughts that you guys have what you did, what you would have done different. And I want to open it up with selection of workouts. When did you do ones? And in regard to this 27, 21, 59, and everyone has a bias. So I'm acknowledging I have a bias. My bias in this workout is going dark, sore for a long time because my quads don't recover well. So I would be sore from this for 3 days, and I wouldn't want to do anything after. And I also like going into a workout like this, knowing there's nothing after. So like you literally empty the tank. Like we can use like empty the tank, guys. Oh, but by the way, you still have 2 more workouts left, so don't empty the tank. Right? On this one, like I like going into something, say, all right, maybe I don't feel full strength because I already did 3 or 4 workouts, but I'm going to use, and that's a skill that some competitors don't have yet. Like, oh, I tried hard. Did you try as hard as you can? I think so. Nope, you didn't. That's something that you have to really experience and go for on your own. And that's when you start to find out who, do you really want it or not?
Yeah,
and
who can go really dark.
And it's not a good thing if you can go dark. It's I'm trying to stay away from that as much as I can. It's like you start to really find out what you want to get out of this. Because if you do want to get to a next level, you're going to have to do a lot of hard shit that you don't want to do. It's just that's it. So go into a little bit, guys, on, how did you pick? I talked to Dan. Dan and I are very strategic. We think alike a lot. And we were texting when the workouts came out. And I told him, I was like, hey, here's my advice. But like, I don't know. Like there really wasn't an easy, like in the past, there's been a very easy selection. Do this first, do this second, do that third. This one, I was like, you can make a case for any order. What were your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, initially, as soon as I saw the handstand push-up and the max lift, I knew I wanted to do that first.
Was it because of the handstands being fresh, the lift, or just both?
Yeah, more than anything, the handstand being fresh.
Okay.
I wanted to just really see, like, not being fatigued, like tired at all before that, what I could manage out of it. The lift, I've gotten a lot better at lifting under fatigue. We do a lot of practice in that, and so...
Yeah, you hit 97, 98%. That's amazing.
Yeah. And I've found that I've gotten better at that. So that wasn't as much of it, but just the handstand push-up, 100%. I wanted to get it done. We did talk about maybe doing 2 workouts Friday night. I'm generally a morning workout person, and as soon as I finished that max lift, I was like, no, I'm done for tonight.
Yeah.
I could feel it right away. I didn't want to get anything else in.
And you said you would have done the rope climb one last if you had the option to redo.
I did say that, and after now discussing this all and really thinking about it, I did have a moment today with Alan, one of the judges, which was great, which he helped me out so much.
He's a great judge.
I woke up today feeling a bit sorry for myself.
Yep.
You know, it's like, you know, you didn't do what you set out to do, and that's okay. And I kind of like Sam said, I let it sit with me for a little bit and then moved on. But I came in today, I was like, let me just get this done.
Yeah.
And I told him, he's like, how you feel so far? I'm like, you know, it hasn't gone as well as I would hoped, but you know, I'm excited to get this one done. He's like, well, now you have an opportunity to redeem yourself.
Yeah.
I'm like,
It's a good shot.
you know what? Yeah, let's go.
You're right.
Yeah. And so
join me.
No, I'm good.
And so I don't think, I think that kind of workout is the kind of workout you can push in.
Yeah.
And I'm looking back at it now, and I'm going to take this experience with me and think that, you know what, that's the kind of workout that you can grit through and move through and push it all out at the end, because the shuttle run, rope climb, bench, that's kind of is what it is. That's a capacity that I have, and I wasn't going to do much better or worse, I think, either way.
Yep.
But I think mentally I was able to kind of just, you know, push as hard as I could for today.
Right.
You know, I think I went a little bit slower than I should have in the row, but also, you know, another learning experience.
Right. Yep.
Were the workouts announced last year on a Thursday?
Yeah. So last year they released them Thursday at 3 p.m. and we had 3 days to do the 5 workouts. And I still think there was 2 submission windows. Am I right about that?
Yeah, last year there was 2.
So there was still Saturday, Sunday submission windows. So basically, like last year, they gave us more time.
Yeah.
They gave us an extra 24 hours to do the same amount of work for the most part. And just so I don't know if you guys know this, the reason was 2 things. They did team quarterfinals Wednesday, Thursday, or Wednesday into Friday, and then so they really want to keep the events separate from each other. There are some athletes that do both, actually, but then also I think that they are trying to. There have been a lot of complaints from masters athletes that you can't expect people with jobs and kids, generally speaking, I know, to really put 3 days into something. Like having 2 days, like, hey, we can find a way to get that done. I think that was part of the reasoning behind that.
Yeah.
So, all right, Cam.
I think I went with workout 2 first, and I thought that was my best choice, just because rig work at my best in the morning. That's my time to do it.
Yep.
9:30s is when I do all like open workouts. So I thought I'd rather do it in the morning when I'm like feeling better, that it's the time I do it, because at night, I don't know if anybody had this problem, but after working out super late Friday night, it was hard for me to fall asleep.
Yep.
So I was taking stuff to go to sleep, like Benadryl, and then I woke up in the middle of the night, like not even in the middle, 4:30 in the morning,
Yep.
with my heart racing.
Wired.
I was like wired, and I was like,
It was
and
tough.
I was surprised that I fell back asleep.
Yeah.
So
You should have texted me, Dave, can I go now? Can I go now? I would have done it.
So I think that I think that 2 being the first one, because of like, I would have wanted to, if I was going to get any reps in the while facing strict handstand push-ups, I would have wanted to do it fresh.
Got it.
And then the max lift, I always know that a max lift is better in the beginning, because the more sore I've been, the worse it is to try to PR a max lift. And then the morning one, yes. And then I'm glad I did the thruster last, the one that was supposed to be last. I don't think the rope climb and bench press would have affected that workout, because like I wouldn't have done it later. I would have wanted to do those 125s a little earlier before another workout. The 65 like thruster was like, no matter what, like it felt good. So I think I could have given it my all at the end. And I like the order in which I did it.
All right. Smart. Good. Sam.
You know, it's interesting watching these athletes, because there's really sort of, I don't want to say 2 classes, but there are 2 approaches. There are the ones where you're looking at an absolute number that you have to try to hit. Like Dan's, that's why it was hard, because you had absolute numbers and a score and a ranking you were shooting for within your age group. Amy Edelman is like that. Tracy, like you guys are looking at, not like for the rest of us, like for me, it's a relative accomplishment. It's like, what am I doing within my potential to do it? And I don't really care where I'm ranking. It's like, did I do really well in relationship to what I've usually done? But you guys are measuring yourself against everyone else and trying to hit an absolute or an objective number, and that is so difficult. Like the order of magnitude it takes to get that, like to shoot for that is really hard. And I understand why you guys are sort of living and dying by your numbers, because that's your goal.
It's the goal.
For me, as it's a relative accomplishment. It's like, what am I doing relative to myself? And so I honestly am taking more joy out of it than you guys are, probably because of that. Or not. Like some people, like if I saw a lot of athletes, they were disappointed maybe like with their handstand push-ups or the bench or whatever it is that they didn't get exact, or their bar muscle ups where they wanted to. Actually, you could be pretty down on yourself for that. So I think most people should try to take away the most that they could from this. The second thing is I can't remember, but the third thing I was going to say is I can't wait to join Tracy and Kathleen in the 55 and up, because three judges today thought I was already in that category.
Oh, no.
And they were like, oh, so you just need the 12-foot rope? And I was like, no, I have to go 15. They're like, oh, so you're using the 35-pound double? No, I have to use the 50. The same as Dan, the same as everybody else. Like, Kayla's, oh, so you need a 2-inch riser for your handstand push?
So
no,
this means Sam does want the age group RX for my signature.
So I'm like, so I'm sitting here with Kevin, these guys, and I'm just like, great. Like, everyone already is putting me in that category. I might as well but you know what? I got 2 more years before I can actually go to that category.
But you did all the workouts, right?
I mean,
it's impressive.
That is impressive.
Like,
doing it with these young guys, and that's
like,
that's amazing.
So from a relative standpoint, I was talking to someone, I said, I hadn't really like to Amy Edelman, because she's been training like a mad person, and you saw like a lot of her accomplishments this weekend, and I was like, well, this was a snapshot of me right now. I'm not doing a lot of training. I'm not really prepping. And it's a little frustrating because I have prepped more in the past, and I could see all my deficiencies. I'm like, okay, this is where my skill is lacking. This is where I haven't practiced this. This is where, like, if I had worked on this, I'd do a little bit better. But I'm busy right now. Like, I got, like, stuff. And so I think everyone who is working on their fitness, they have some competitive aspirations. There were a lot of people that were this close to making it in quarterfinals. Like literally 2 reps on a workout would have pushed them in. Like, I would say you have to take it in balance. Like, maybe you can work on it more. Maybe you can't really right now. That's okay. Do what you can. Take what you can out of it. And I got lucky on a couple workouts this time. I got lucky on a couple workouts in the open, but if I don't make it next year, I'm all right. Like, this gave me good perspective. Like, I'm really happy to cheer for everyone else, because you guys really, like, it's so inspirational. Like,
it deserves a lot of credit. I know that we get a little uncomfortable sometimes, right? I know you guys probably do too. Like, when you do well at something, you don't always constantly want like the positive, like, attention, right? It gets a little uncomfortable at some point, because you never want to come across as like that you're eating it up. Like that's not why we're here. I know most people, that's not why they're here. Is it a benefit that you feel supported and people are cheering you on? Absolutely. But it's not for attention.
I'm
right?
trying to take away something from every athlete. And I wish I could name all 20, but you already have. Like, but when I watch Naritza, when I watch Nicole DiCarlo, when I watch, any one of these guys, like just pushing, it makes me feel like I can try as hard as I can. Yeah. And, Raina, all these people, like they give so much.
They do.
And
it's consistent. I think that's the...
Yes, they're all very, very consistent with it, with Mandy. So and they have aspirations, and they have all these goals. And I love that. I love seeing that all the time. And then it makes me think, well, maybe I can only give X amount of time, but for that X amount of time, I'm not going to waste it. I'm going to do my best with it. And if I can hang, that's awesome, but it's a relative accomplishment for me. So if I don't, I should still take away that I'm really, like, happy that I'm fitnessing.
Yeah.
Even though I'm like 90 years old the way everyone thinks I am right now. That's okay. I'll take it.
Don't worry, Sam. We have AGOQ RX
give me
coming up.
Give me the 10-pound weights and the 12-inch box and I'll be fine.
So, I mean, that's kind of like good where we could start to wind this down a little bit in terms of what is your advice or what are your thoughts for yourselves on where do you go from here? Like, one thing about these weekends, right? These quarterfinal weekends or weekend competitions or a comp that you sign up for is the dopamine crash. And I know some of these athletes are going to go through it. Be like, you're on a high. You know, this was a very unique weekend. Like, people are making arrangements with their kids, their schedules, their work schedules, which is hard. Credit to all the athletes that had to like make arrangements with that stuff. I know it's hard. Trust me. And to be in that environment, it's almost like, you know, Kathleen always says this, if you could bottle that adrenaline and sell it, you'd be a millionaire, right? Like, imagine if we could do something like that every weekend. Just train to, not compete, but train together, go after it and have that support system. You'd be monsters next year. And it's not realistic to think that, right? None of us are pro athletes. But what can you take from this weekend, knowing that you're probably going to come down to earth a little bit over the next few days? Like, there is sometimes some post-competition, not depression, but just like a lull, you know, like you feel like, wait, so why do I need to try hard in today's WOD? Like, what's the point? Like, a lot of these guys, remember back, we started Reset in January. People are motivated. You have the Open coming up. And then we have the Open announcement. People are like just jazzed up, fired up. You make quarterfinals. You have 2-3 weeks to build up the quarterfinals. And now it's like, done, over. Tomorrow, no offense to anyone, nobody cares anymore. You know, like, we're all here for ourselves, our workouts now, right? Where do you guys go from here? What are you prepping for mentally, Dan?
Oh, that's a good question.
You don't have to have the answer, by the way.
Yeah,
you know,
yeah.
but just like what is your initial like thought on that?
Yeah, I think you know, part of it is just being really just taking a step back and looking at what you have accomplished.
Yep.
Just finishing the workouts generally. I mean, just finishing the Open, just getting through quarterfinals. That's a huge accomplishment in itself. Because there's definitely points when I was like, maybe I just want to quit now.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, right.
And then, it's starting to think about, you know, not necessarily next year's Open and quarterfinals, but starting to look, can I put some few little checkpoints in the calendar in the next 3 months that I can focus on, kind of regain myself. I know, like, this next week, I just want to be in class and have fun with everybody.
I know exactly what you're saying there. Yeah.
I mean, a huge difference in my training in this last year compared to the years before was I was doing a lot of solo training and a lot of like trying to like, well, I need to work on my weaknesses. I need to do my own thing. But when we started really focusing in on doing it, you know, I'm doing 4 classes a week at least.
Yep.
I'm first of all, there's so many amazing athletes here that I can push myself every day.
Yeah, you're always
I'm chasing that person. I'm chasing that person.
Yeah. Yep.
But just being in the fun of it all, you know, I think that's kind of like checking back into why I started this, why I found love and passion for this has been getting after it with the rest of the community and doing it all together and, you know, and just having fun. So I think that's where I'm going to go to first.
That's awesome.
Find that again.
That's awesome. Yeah, you always have to keep it fun. You have to. Karem?
I'm looking forward to getting back into the routine of the regular Monday to Friday.
Yeah.
What I love about the quarterfinals and the Open, well, more quarterfinals, like that whole like feeling like you're doing a competition. I think that's the closest I'm going to get to doing like 5 workouts in a weekend.
Right.
But like you start to realize that your body's capacity and what it can do. Like I remember last year,
that's awesome.
You made us do the mock.
Yeah.
And I was like, and then I texted him after we did the mock and I was like, wow, like I'm surprised and happy that I was able to do it and fit all of that. Was it a week before the quarterfinals?
No, we did 2 weeks before. Last year we had a little extra time between, so we did mock. We just didn't have the time this year. They were too close.
Still, like it gave you an idea, and I was like, with my work schedule, I think I was working that weekend. I was like, I was still able to fit everything, and I worked 13-hour shifts.
Right.
So, and I'm on my feet all the time at work. People will be like, "You're running all the time." I'm like, "That's just my pace." It is.
Shuttle runs.
But my takeaway is like what I already know what I want to work on. Like I know that my focus is going to be on strength. I really want to build up my strength. I'm not saying that I'm going to build it up amazingly this next year, but I really do want to focus more on strength. And just to go back and like talk about what you were bringing up, I'm like, this Open was so humbling because I can name 10 people who would have crushed these workouts and done way better than me in so many movements that didn't make quarterfinals. So I felt like these workouts were all worth giving a try because there were so many people who would have been able to do these workouts without any complaints. And there were so many that I was just like, I don't think I can, but I wanted to give them a try because I felt like I owed it to. And I had girls talk to me and be like, man, I'm glad I didn't make it because
I felt a little bit that way.
I'm glad I didn't make it. I was on the cusp, but like looking at you guys do this, it was really hard. I'm like, no, you should. You need to because once you do these, you're like, you realize what your body's capable of. So I encourage it. And that's what I wanted. That's another goal I have this year. All those girls that were like 89%, I want to push them to get to that 90% or whatever it is because they are, I can see them in my head, like just crushing these workouts because they crush me on a regular basis. So yeah, I'm looking forward to getting back to the routine of my regular, like trying to like do really good Monday, Tuesdays, and then like bringing down the intensity Wednesdays, resting Thursdays and Fridays, like taking it back up.
That's awesome. I love it.
Yeah, I want to push all those 89%ers too.
Me too.
Yeah,
I'm so
I
excited.
because we'll get more than 20 for sure. I think we have the potential.
Might need a bigger gym.
The last thing I did remember now was it's funny today. I come in and we have a Bison group on our Whoop, right? So you can see everyone's scores and like how much they're sleeping,
right?
Like their fit, like their strain level and all that. And just like you got like a 1%, like
legit is the only person that like she's like I was surprised you came to work. You got 3 hours of sleep last night.
Right? Yeah,
that's the only time I could do it.
Right,
consultant.
Right. She's like, you got like no sleep. Like you're like, how are you even moving? And I was like, I know. So like this weekend was challenging, like you said, that Friday night into Saturday, and then like waking up and thinking about this stuff, like that stress. My sleep hygiene is awful. My recovery sort of protocols and what I'm doing is awful. So I think the biggest thing I need to do, and this weekend highlighted it, is how do I fix all that? How do I get my mindset right? How do I work on my recovery? How do I work on my sleep? How do I do those things? I see a lot of other people's numbers and they're doing awesome. I can do better. And when I really focus on it, I do better. It's just most of the time, that's the first thing that gets shorted when any pressure is applied into my lifestyle or whatever it is I'm doing. And I'm always like, oh yeah, I can still function. I can still like tough it out and do it. But yeah, when legit's like 2%, like I'm like, okay, I know, like that's where I could do better. I could do better with everything in my life if I worked on that. So I think for the next couple of weeks, I'm going to say, all right, how can I make that better, and that'll help my workout and my performance as well.
Awesome. Yeah, so like one little challenge I want to throw you guys and anyone else that competed this weekend, whether you're at Bison or not, wherever, right? So we have people all over the place that that listen to this. If you made quarterfinals, I want you to take a responsibility on that, not to coach people, not to be like, do what I did and you can make quarterfinals, right? There is in some gyms, not ours, I think our gym handles this so well. There's a separation between sport and the rest of the gym. And there are gyms, and there are probably even people here that think that the good athletes get put on a pedestal too much. And in some cases, you are going to. But also the person that gets their first toes bar gets put on a pedestal. Like everyone has their time. Every kind of athlete has their time. But I think that's something that an athlete should take on as an added responsibility to act a certain way after a weekend like this. Be overly thankful to the judges. Like you could say thank you for every single day for the next year. It probably still is not enough. If we don't have people that pay $10, spend in some cases 2 hours taking a really annoying online test, and then coming in to the gym and spending 12, 15, 18 hours at the gym counting reps over and over again, we cannot do this. So and I want us all, not just saying thank you, like we had a lot of people who just come and cheer you guys on. And that is part of what makes this place special, that we're around selfless people that want to do things for others. And I think as an athlete that is viewed as top 10%, whatever, one of the best athletes in the gym that we don't really talk about that much on a week-to-week, month-to-month basis, that you walk in and you act a certain way, that you are not better than others, that you are a part of the crew. You just happen to have a few good workouts, that maybe you even got lucky with the programming, like, as Karem was what Sarah said. And, you're going to have eyeballs on you, whether you want that or not. You know, some people will say, well, that's not my decision. I'm not doing this to have eyeballs on me. You're going to have eyeballs in terms of how you act in classes with other people, what you say, how much you help other people when they want help. Are you being possessive about like the silly stuff? Like, I want that box, that pull-up bar, that zone. I'm going to short my reps. Like, we could talk about standards. You are going to have eyeballs on you now. And I hope that everyone, whether it's at Bison or other gyms, you can kind of just keep that in the back of your head that, you know, getting to this level and getting all the support that you guys did, you now are taking on a responsibility of acting a certain way to make sure that we never get to a point where, you know, the competitors are being viewed as full of themselves, or they think this gym belongs to them, or they're getting all the attention. We want everyone to always feel that their goals and their accomplishments are just as important as yours. They just don't get as much attention of it. And I really think that's something that's made Bison a really good place over the past 10 years is, you know, we have, you know, a huge separation in talent level, ability level, experience levels, goals, right? Like, some people don't give a shit about this. The top 10%, they just want to be healthy, that we are all the same. And sometimes it can get lost in an environment like this. And I know full well that everyone that participated at Bison, we don't have an issue that here, but I do know just owners that I talk to from other locations, that is a problem, where it's like them versus us, rather than, hey, we all make each other stronger. So I just want to throw that challenge out to you guys. Do you have any closing thoughts on the weekend that you wanted to get off your chest? Good or bad? Let's keep it good, though, because it's, you know, positive vibe right now. Guys, anything?
I mean, I'll just say, going off of what you just said, this is, you know, the reason why I'm here in this gym is because of that exact reason of how everybody supports each other in every single day of, you know, throughout the year. It's so awesome seeing just everybody improving themselves in whatever way.
Yeah.
So, and I am so grateful of everybody, you know, judging and being around. It's and it's so fun. It's so cool. And yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah. Karem?
I want to say thank you to all the judges. I don't think I've like been wanting to. I've walked up to all the judges and personally been like, thank you so much for, like, honestly just taking the time. You guys get nothing out of this, yet you guys are here, like, cheering us on and counting these reps for us. I actually think it should be like something we do, or like the people who are competing in like these quarterfinals should actually get certified with judging, because you know, like, we should help out with our own judging each other as well.
I agree.
But I am so grateful and thankful that for these people that came out and, like, for no reason just like sat there and cheered us on. I've never felt in this gym like there's a group of people, especially the people that make it to quarterfinals, or the people that make it past the open, or even the people who do so well in competitions, like, they're any better than the people in the gym. Like, that, this is the one gym where I know that we all feel like
we're together.
We're together in this. And I love that about this
It's the
gym.
best part of the gym.
Even when we were working on, like, stuff during the week that could, like, help, like, Dave told us this last week what to do to get, not ready, but, like he said, like, hit the 10-foot thing in the workouts. It wasn't just the people who were doing quarterfinals. It was the people who didn't make quarterfinals that were doing it with us. We were all like, let's do this because we're looking forward to the next open. So let's, like, challenge ourselves to do it. Like, I was doing it with Julia and Karen McKinney. So I love that it doesn't feel like it's like two separate groups. It feels like we're all included and we are all looking forward to the next open. I'm humbled, extremely humbled by this open, and I'm thankful to be here and thankful to everybody here.
Thanks, Karem.
I'm looking forward to everyone who's competing this season on all the outside local comps. Like, that's going to be really exciting. And
we got something big coming up too. I'm not going to announce it yet.
Okay.
I'll let you guys know.
Right.
I'll let you know off camera.
But I'm very happy to cheer for everyone and sort of support everyone, you know, in the way they've supported me. Like, I really appreciate that. Last thing I want to do is thank you, Dave, for setting everything up. This was logistically the biggest nightmare potential that I've ever seen, with 20 athletes, 4 events, everyone doing it differently. Like, you know, I want to do event 2 first. No, I'm going to do event 3. Now I'm going to do, like, to actually make it work. And it worked. I mean, 95% of it was, like, amazing. I want to thank you for that. Mm-hmm. Like, that was selfless.
Yep.
Like, this is not part of being a gym owner or, like, making money or any of that stuff. Like, we didn't pay you anything.
We're charging your card.
Like you just did this, and
Well, I know this, right? I talked to Dan, like being, you take a responsibility on when you have 20 people do it, and it would be a mess if we just said, come figure it out.
Yeah.
But I wanted it to be feel like that kind of weekend. Like you guys are being taken care of like athletes do when they go to a Legends, Masters Fitness Collective, regionals. And that's, with this environment, with these athletes, like I think it helped. I really put all my thoughts into you guys getting the most out of the weekend that you could, whether it was this goal or that goal, these reps, that reps. And to do that with this many people, you do have to set things up.
Right. And everyone played nice.
Yes.
We, worked out together. We were considerate. And I think that
people were flexible.
That made a huge difference because it's not easy. And if you were a prima donna, you could easily say, no, this isn't going to work for me. This isn't going to work for me.
Yeah.
But
especially when we were here the other night at 9:30 at night.
Right.
Like, that was against the norm for a lot of people.
Right.
I give them a lot of respect.
Right. So again, thank you, Dave.
Yep.
Fantastic weekend and much appreciated.
Yeah, I can't wait till next year. This is just going to become a yearly tradition, and we might need to find a bigger space to host it at
and
some
more
point.
help. Yeah, it's really tough.
Yeah.
But we will we'll get it done, and we're not going anywhere, guys. We're going to just keep helping you guys out that have this kind of goal throughout the year. I think almost every single podcast we put out there could help you reach another fitness level if that's what you're shooting for. So thank you so much for listening, and we will see you guys next week.
Thank you for having us.
Thank you, everybody, for taking the time out of your day to listen to the Herd Fit podcast. Be on the lookout for next week's episode.